Dasharata had a beautiful son, but his wife Kiki wanted him gone, 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 gone. So he took off to the forest.
You're hearing Dasharata, one of the many great tracks on Unillusion, the new album by Rebecca Pidgeon. Rebecca has enjoyed a long, successful career as a singer-songwriter and guitarist, as well as a very successful career in film as an actress. Her songs have also appeared in major motion pictures. Born in the U.S., she moved with her family at a very young age to Edinburgh, Scotland, and later attended the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art in London. She became lead singer of the band Ruby Blue, but left and released her first solo album, The Raven. Unillusion is her 12th solo record. Rebecca blends narrative depth and musical intimacy in a way that feels both timeless and current. And the new album marks a return to the organic acoustic sounds of her debut, The Raven. Stay tuned for my talk with the multi-talented and lovely Rebecca Pidgeon.
Over his poor beleaguered son, so he walks into the river. He walks into the
river. You're listening to Frets with DJ Faye. No lessons, no technique info. I just talk to people who play guitar. Stay tuned. Rebecca Pidgeon, thanks so much for taking some time to talk today.
It's really great to be here. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah. Well, I'm always interested in what kinds of music people were first exposed to when they were growing up and what they responded to, maybe even just music heard around the house. You were born in the States, but your parents are British. Did they introduce you to any particular type of music?
They did. My dad was listening to the Beatles albums when they were coming out. So that was my first, love of music. My mother says that he was playing one particular Beatles track over and over again when she was sick. She was pregnant with me and sick, really feeling queasy. And then she said, the first record that I put on when I could toddle over to the record player was that piece of music that had made her feel that, she associated with being so queasy. But, and the Beatles, of course, have remained, my favorite. John Lennon.
Oh, yeah. He was by far my favorite. Yeah, my favorite Beatle was John. And not a bad first introduction to music.
Yes. And then, they had the collection of the American writers like James Taylor and Joni Mitchell and people like the Lovin' Spoonful and
love it.
And then growing up in Scotland, I was exposed to or grew up hearing all over the place Scottish folk music, so I was always very influenced by that. And then I was influenced by British bands. In my youth, I loved Kate Bush and and then more indie bands like Susie and the Banshees and The Clash, and I liked Ian Dury and who else? All sorts of people, the Cocteau Twins and This Mortal Coil.
Yeah, all that 4AD stuff. Very nice. How old were you when the family moved to Edinburgh?
I was 6.
Oh, wow.
Or 5. I was 5. I just turned 6 in Edinburgh. Yeah, so I was a real American child, and started going to school in Edinburgh and was somewhat of an oddity for the kids there. I remember the kids approaching me and saying, "Speak, speak," because they wanted to hear my American accent.
Oh, right. My one time visiting Edinburgh, I was only 19 and stayed in bed and breakfasts. And I have vague memories because it was many, many years ago. But I remember really loving the experience. Went from London up through Wales and then into Scotland. And it was great.
Oh, what a lovely, magical trip. Yeah, Edinburgh is a magical, haunting city that's got very dark undertones, but immense beauty. I was always aware of the beauty there.
I do remember it being very beautiful. beautiful town.
It's a kind of a Gothic part of the town, and then there's this magnificent Georgian new town, they call it, which is not new, of course. Rather like Bath, that
Yeah.
same kind of architecture. But
Now that you mentioned that was one of our stops. We stopped in Bath
yes,
for one night and ate at a restaurant and stayed at another bed and breakfast. But
lovely.
was guitar the first instrument you learned to play?
Yes. No, I'm sorry. No, it wasn't. The piano. I played the piano as a child. I had piano lessons, but I never practiced. It was always an incredible burden to me. So I never learned it properly. I wish I had stuck with it. But my friend, Roger Fife, and I used to sing at parties in Edinburgh, and he'd play the guitar. And he asked me if I would come and write some songs with him, which he would then send to independent little labels. And I said, sure. I was at this point a drama student in London. So I'd come back for their summers and we'd create these songs. I didn't really know that I was a songwriter until I got with him and was writing songs. I was just, the way I did it was I was thinking, what kind of songs do I like? What do I want? What would I write if I were a songwriter?
Right.
What do I want to hear? How do I want this harmonic progression to go? What, is interesting. And through him and his playing of the guitar, I would say to him, I want this melody to go to this place. And he'd play chords until I say to him, yes, that's the chord I need. And it got so tiresome that eventually my then boyfriend bought me my own guitar.
Okay.
And that's when I started learning. So I think I was about maybe 19 when I started learning the guitar.
And that became
Just by ear,
And that became the band Ruby Blue, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, when I learned, I did take some lessons when I was like 12, I think. But then
Yeah.
I got to a point which I'm really glad, but I realized I could just kind of pick things up by ear. I could kind of tell what they were playing I was determined to figure out what they're playing. So
Yes, and the guitar is an easy instrument for that. Much easier for my brain than the piano anyway.
Yeah. Well, at that point, were you already torn? I mean, going to that Academy of Dramatic Arts, were you torn between pursuing a career in acting or moving into music?
Yes, there was a point when I was a bit torn, actually. And then everything changed because I met my future husband and emigrated to the States. And so that really put the kibosh on our band, Ruby Blue. They did carry on for a little while, but then they broke up. That was a shame. Because we were kind of going great guns in Britain, and we were accumulating a good fan base, and we were signed to a major label. But my life was going in a different direction, and I started a solo music career, and I went with a label called Chesky Records out of New York, which was an audiophile label, and I made a few records with them as a solo artist. And I met a bunch of wonderful musicians who I collaborated with and who helped me on the journey. Yeah.
Well, it's actually kind of a nice segue. You mentioned meeting your husband, meeting David Mamet, and I'm realizing I should tell you how I discovered your music.
Yes.
And it was by way of your acting career, which is sort of natural, but I can explain. I'm kind of a film nerd, and in the 90s.
Oh, great.
Well, in the 90s, I saw The Spanish Prisoner. And I was already a fan of Ricky Jay and, of course, Steve Martin.
Yes.
All the casting in the film was just great. And not to mention the score by Carter Burwell.
It's so beautiful. Yeah.
I'm a big Coen Brothers fan. I have a big collection of film scores. And, of course, I was already familiar with your husband's work, particularly Glengarry Glen Ross. But I mean, you played a key role in that film, and you were a very memorable role, and were wonderful in it. So that was my first awareness of you, was seeing you on screen. And then I started noticing you in other films, State and Maine, Heist. I was a huge Gene Hackman fan too. I remember it was like a film festival here in St. Louis, and I went to see Red Belt and realized that you had provided songs for the film that were really great. And I guess, were the songs written for the film specifically, or did they just end up being chosen to be included in the soundtrack?
They were kind of written with that film in mind, because Dave said, I'm making this movie, this and I'd like you to do some music for it. And it's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And I was working with Larry Klein, whose wife is a magnificent Brazilian singer and musician called Luciana Souza. And so that music was inspiring me anyway at that moment, coincidentally. And so I wrote a couple of songs in that vein. I mean, as far as that in that vein as I could go. I'd always loved Brazilian music, and I just adored her work and Luciana. And in fact, she came and did a duet with me on that record for one of the songs, and also she appeared in that movie as the nightclub singer singing.
Oh, I see.
So yes, and in fact, she translated my lyrics into Portuguese for her version of the song. Yeah, so that all kind of coalesced nicely, and in fact, they were written with that film in mind, but they weren't. They were. I sort of stepped into a character to write the songs, so that they didn't have any. The themes were love and betrayal.
Right.
I guess, yeah.
Hey, I want to talk about Plug. Plug makes it easy for you to purchase the personal technology you need at 40 to 70% off retail pricing. What can you get from Plug? Certified pre-owned devices including iPhones, Androids, AirPods, Macs, smartwatches, accessories, and more. I originally didn't even want an Apple Watch, but I got one from Plug and I love it. I wear it every day. Your purchase is backed by their unmatched 1-year warranty and 30-day money-back guarantee. One more very cool thing, Plug is dedicated to helping reduce e-waste around the globe. To date, Plug has helped save over 1 million devices from reaching landfills, and they're looking to double that number by 2025. Link to Plug Tech from the show notes, and check out all the great deals and savings on certified pre-owned devices. Plug Electronics. Check it out. Well, somewhere along the line, and I forget the chronology or the timing, but I did start noticing your music on social media channels, and, was becoming more aware that, oh, wow, she's got a lot of music out there. So I started following you and really enjoying your stuff. Oh, I wanted to mention, too, the soundtrack for Red Belt, Behind the Velvet Curtain, featured another guitarist I love, Dean Parks. I was a huge Steely Dan fan. So
yes.
It's always been obsessed with all the different guitar players, and I know they employed many, but Dean Parks was great. That solo on Haitian Divorce, so good.
Oh, he's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Oh, and I saw that Walter Becker appeared on your album Tough on Crime.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, you are very knowledgeable, aren't you? Yes, he did. He was a great friend of Larry's, and we were making this record, Tough on Crime, and Larry said, I think Walter would be great on this particular song, and he called him up, and Walter did this fabulous kind of jagged, odd solo and sent it to us, and I was just bowled over. And I said, gosh, what should we pay him? And Larry said, oh, he just wants a bottle of red wine. He loves red wine. So I sent him the best bottle of red wine I could find.
He was so unique. Poor Walter. He was so great. Fantastic guitarist, but also pretty damn funny. When I would see them live, his banter on stage at Steely Dan shows was pretty funny.
Yeah, he was quite wry and dry.
Yeah, very much.
I eventually ended up meeting him, of course. I'm just so charmed by him. Yeah.
Wow. Well, you've also contributed to other people's albums, like Madeline Peru on her album Bare Bones.
Yeah. Yes, I did some backing vocals for her. I loved because, again, this was a sort of stable of musicians that Larry was working with, and he was working with her and myself at the same time. So I came and did a bit of singing on her record and on Luciana's record as well. Yeah, and she's just such a fabulous singer, Madeline, just extraordinary. She opens her mouth and you just kind of are bowled over. Yeah.
Yeah, the very interesting backstory too. How she kind of played on the streets of Paris, I guess.
Yeah. The real troubadour, the real thing.
Yes, exactly.
She's the real thing. Yes.
Well, your discography, you've got, I think now, 12 albums, a dozen albums out.
So, yeah, isn't that mad?
Which date back to, I guess, was it the early 90s or was it 80s?
Yeah.
90s, I guess, yeah.
Yes, this body of work. I made the records in Britain in like '89, so I don't really count those. And also that was with the band Ruby Blue. So
Right. Well, it seems like you've managed to have kind of like simultaneously, or at least along the way, a very successful career in both acting and music. And yeah, it's very, I mean, it's very admirable that you were able to do both and with a lot of
well,
great.
oddly, I think it was helpful that, in the music world, nobody really had heard of my acting. And in the acting world, nobody had really
Right.
heard of my music. So I could sort of get away with it. People can't get it into their brain when somebody kind of does two things.
Exactly.
It kind of, it doesn't sit right. So I was kind of glad that nobody was, in the music world, nobody's really interested in the acting. They didn't ask about it. And you know, it didn't come up. And same within the acting world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where's the man with the shining face? Who alone is the handsome one, radiant, who has conquered love with no jealousy, destroyer of his enemies, possessing all the qualities. Where's the man?
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hey, Dave, didn't we see you in the store the other day?
Yeah, I'm always at Euclid Records. I'm either buying new releases or buying the back catalog of guests who've been on frets.
So, Euclid Records has been around since 1981. How long have you been with us?
I do remember the original store on Euclid, but I used to go to the store when I lived in the West End.
You also shop our website. We have our own shipping department to take care of our national customers, but you use our local pickup option, right?
I do. Local pickup's great. I can shop the website 24/7. Buy it, come into the store, pick it up at my convenience.
And it's free.
It's a pleasure to visit the store. 2 floors of vinyl and CDs. I love that upstairs with the jazz.
You know, we're a bunch of music nerd librarians. We are obsessed with alphabetizing and making it easy for people to find what they want and discover new things. Plus, we get to talk music all day long with 5 generations of music lovers.
Euclid Records also buys music collections, right?
We do. We have buyers in the store 7 days a week, and we can make you an offer for cash or in-store credit on what it is we can use. Wait, does this mean you're thinking of selling us your collection? We know it's a good one.
No, not just yet. I'm still collecting. I know you got to get back to work, so let's end with telling them how to partake in the Euclid Records experience.
You got it. We are open 7 days a week in Webster Groves, and check us out on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And you can browse and buy 24/7 at euclidrecords.com. We do ship worldwide, so no matter where you are, we can get the music in your hands. And we'd love to take care of your frets, listeners.
I just remembered something I was going to mention that I think you'll appreciate or maybe even get a kick out of. This is a while back, but there was a great diner on the outskirts of St. Louis. It doesn't even exist anymore. But when it did, it was a great spot, and I would go there for breakfast and coffee. They had great lunch, too. Anyway, I was there, I want to say maybe 7 or 8 years ago. And so I went over to the little station where you refilled your coffee, and I noticed above this coffee station, they had this wall-mounted CD player. It was kind of high-tech kind of looking thing right above where that station was. and it had a clear front, so whatever CD was in there was very visible, and it was one of your albums.
Gosh,
Yeah, right.
that's fame for you. Wow. I love that story.
Well, I liked it, yeah, because it was not too long after I did discover a lot of your music. I was familiar with
Yeah.
I was familiar with the movies, and I was familiar with all that. But I was like, wow, that's very cool. And I never did. I wish I would have asked, the owner or whoever, like, who was responsible for that. That's very cool.
Wow. I'd love to know that, actually. Yeah.
I think
That's in St. Louis, is it?
yeah. I think it was Slingshot, maybe. With the timing would probably be right. I think.
I wonder if that, because I toured with Mark Cohn to support him,
Oh,
and had that record with me and we went all across the United States, and I remember signing lots of copies of that record. So maybe it was somebody who'd come to one of his gigs who got one of the records.
that all makes sense.
Yeah.
And was that I think that had a cover of Warren Zevon's "Searching for a Heart."
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
great.
Yeah.
Great song, and you did a beautiful cover of it.
Yeah.
He's a big Warren Zevon fan, too.
Oh, I loved him. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the new album, Unillusion, which is pretty stripped down in a good way compared to some of your other recordings.
Yes. And that is on purpose. Actually, I wanted to get an acoustic sound rather reminiscent of my earlier records that I had done with Chesky, although those records were performed with an acoustic band, but it was a large band, actually, and we were performing it live at these studios, the Kaufman Astoria studios in New York. But it did have an acoustic just vibe, and so I wanted to kind of get back to that with this record in a way, in a new way, but in a way, because I have so many fans from those Chesky record days, and sort of devoted people who loved that side of my sound, where it was very voice centric, and also my acoustic guitar was the focal point around which everything was built. So I wanted to kind of revisit that a little bit with this record and have it be quite dynamic. So
yeah, sort of an unplugged.
Yes, exactly. And I went into the studio and I was trying to describe it to Fernando Perdomo, who was my co-producer, and the way he kind of got his brain into it was through the MTV Unplugged. And he said, "Oh, you mean MTV Unplugged?" And he started playing me a whole bunch of these sessions. And I said, "That's it exactly. Yes, that's it." You work with different producers, so they bring their style, of course. And the style of Joel Diamond, who's this maestro pianist who was producing us with the Chesky records, a magnificent producer. But his style is sort of gentle and flowing. And Fernando, on the other hand, is really, really from a sort of rock background. So it's edgier sound, but nevertheless. And so his version of that was kind of MTV Unplugged, really, which I loved.
Yeah, it's really nice. I love this album, and I was happy to get a listen in advance.
Gosh, I'm so glad. Yeah, I'm so glad you did.
Tell him I'm like a laden boat, tossed on a stormy sea. Tell him I dropped my precious jewelry. My hair rides like 1,000 snakes. My low face flows with tears. Born of dust, what act was it brought me here?
Hi, this is Rebecca Pidgeon, and you're listening to Fret's podcast with DJ Faye.
Well, I wanted to mention, too, I noticed Esther Balint plays some very beautiful
Yeah.
violin on a couple tracks. That's another person I discovered through film first, and then discovered her work as a
Right?
musician.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah,
she's another actress and musician like me.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
She's a
love
wonderful actress.
I love the films of Jim Jarmusch, and I remember, again, I used to go to all these film festivals, but I remember Stranger Than Paradise just kind of knocked me out, and she was just kind of, I don't know, hypnotic in it. It was just like,
Yeah, she's got a real quality, hasn't she?
yeah,
Yeah.
very natural, and it was just but
Yeah.
then the same thing. I started noticing, wow, she's a musician. She's got some great stuff out there, too.
Yeah, she's great. Yeah, I got to know her actually through a mutual friend and an artist called Tammy Lang, whose stage name is Tammy Faye Starlight, who's
Oh,
this outrageous comedian. Do you know her?
I know, the name, yeah.
Yeah, she's absolutely fantastic, and she has an act where she does Marianne Faithfull, and she does Nico from the Velvet Underground, and she's just outrageous and funny. And anyway, Esther plays a lot with her, and Tammy and I were playing together, and so I met Esther through Tammy. Yeah.
Very nice. Well, you're going to be playing at one of my favorite guitar shops, McCabe's, in August. I love
Yes.
that. I love that shop, and whenever I'm in LA, I try to get over there.
It's a magic place, isn't it?
It really is.
And it's got this magic venue at the back
Yes.
where all of these luminaries have played. It's quite astounding who's played there. And so that kind of lives in the walls there, doesn't it? I mean, when you go see acts, it's just got a special magical atmosphere that just is enchanting.
Yeah.
And you always have a wonderful time there.
Yeah, years ago, I have on vinyl an EP. It was Michael Stipe was in the store and did, I think, The One I Love and Maps and Legends, I think was the B-side to that. But I was like, wow, they do in-store performances. So I had a brother he's been living out there for well over 30 years, but he was in Santa Monica for a while, and I would always make my way over to especially if somebody was playing, but even if not, I just like looking at the guitars.
Oh no, it's the best place. And they can squeeze about, I don't know, like I think it's the capacity is like 100-ish people in there.
So that's obviously,
so it's intimate.
That coincides, if it's in late August, you're going to be performing
Yes,
songs
it's going to
from the
be
new album.
it's going to be a record release show, and I'll actually have physical CDs there and everything.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could transport myself. Maybe I can come up with
I wish you could come.
I wish I could come up with an excuse to get out there.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Well, I'm totally bowled over by your level of knowledge. You are amazing.
Oh, cut it
you really
out. Cut
know
it
a
out.
lot. You're just like you win the gold medal. Actually, nobody else knows as much as you do about my stuff. It's great.
Go on. No, really. Go on. Okay. Rebecca Pidgeon, thank you so much for this. This has been a lot of fun.
Dave, it's been so much fun. You are great. Thank you for having me.
Thanks again. All right. Thanks, Rebecca.
Yeah, you're so welcome. It's a pleasure, and stay in touch. You're
all right.
fab.
Okay.
All right. Take
Thank
care.
you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
There's a tree down on Latimer Road. Don't know how it happened. Don't know how it happened. There's a car parked right.
Rebecca Pidgeon's new album, Unillusion, releases August 29th. And she'll be performing at McCabe's Guitar Shop in Santa Monica on Sunday, August 31st. A link to tickets for that concert are in today's show notes. Subscribe for free to Frets with DJ Faye, leave a review, tell your friends, and as always, thanks for listening and stay tuned.
My love, 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 my love.
Okay, of course I will. I'm absolutely thrilled. Okay, let me see if I can do it. Hi, this is Rebecca Pidgeon, and I'm here. Oh shit, now I've forgotten what it's.
You're listening
You're listening to Fret's podcast with DJ Faye.
That's it.